does the Japandi design style create a calm and cozy look and feel? Hi everyone, it's interior designer Carol Gilman. Let's discover interior design. In this video, we are going to explore the Japandi design style, and I'm going to take you through an explanation of the characteristics of this style through the lens of the interior design elements. And we are going to take a look at how this blend of Scandinavian and Japanese styles really does create a calm and comforting look. First of all, a quick overview of what the interior design elements are. You can think of them as the components that we use to create a certain look and feel to a room or to our home or to a design. And almost like the ingredients in a recipe, we will use those different elements to create something that has a calm and cozy look to it. So let's take a look at all of those different interior design elements and see what those unique characteristics of the Japandi design style are. One of the first interior design elements that we'll look at is the design element of space. And from a space planning perspective, whether that's laying out furniture or placing artwork on a wall or even placing things on our ceiling, in the Japandi design style, there is a very uncluttered, minimal look. That means that there are areas that are not filled in. And when they are filled in, there is a reason why they would be filled in. And we are talking about a balance between negative and positive space. And negative space is the space around everything, whereas positive space are those elements that are physical, that actually fill in a space. So with this design style, there is a very simplified, minimal look to a space, where if something is filled in with something physical, there is a reason, because maybe it provides an important function, or maybe it's just something beautiful to look at, or maybe a combination of both. When there are fewer things filling up a space and there's a nice balance between open areas and filled in areas, it really does maybe provide more emphasis to certain areas or certain pieces in the room. Because of this balance between open areas and filled in areas and this uncluttered minimal look, that helps to create a calm and cozy look, which is part of the Japandi design style. The next interior design element that we'll look at is shape and form. So for this style, the dominant type of shape and form that you may see is something that we call organic, meaning that it's inspired by nature, whether it is natural forms or where imperfection is celebrated. Maybe we don't see perfectly straight angles or perfectly sharp corners, or if we do, it's just very simplified and minimal. In fact, maybe we don't see symmetrical types of forms and shape, and maybe it leans more towards asymmetrical. But if it is symmetrical, it's more organic and natural looking. And geometric shapes are also used in this style, but just in a very simple and minimal way. The other part of this has to do with emphasizing the inherent qualities of natural materials. So really emphasizing imperfections or noticing the grain of wood. One example of this is what's referred to as a live edge wood tabletop, or this could even be a bench. But this slab of wood is kind of left as it is. It may be polished somewhat so that it is usable, but these beautiful edges that show the imperfections in the wood, or maybe even highlight some bark still on that piece of wood, and not these perfectly straight corners, is what's really important in this type of design style. And to go along with that, there may be pieces in a room that are handcrafted, or even home decor or accessories or artwork or other furnishings that are made by hand. And when there are any type of embellishments on a piece of furniture, for instance, or on some other type of furnishing, it is very restrained and very minimal because it's important to celebrate the imperfections and the natural inherent qualities of different natural materials. And another meaning that we can give to the word organic in reference to this design style is having to do with sourcing natural materials that are sustainably produced or sustainably grown. And that could be natural materials of fabric like wool and cotton and linen, or wood or other wood type of products that are sustainably sourced, like bamboo and cork. Because of this connection to nature and the shapes and forms that are used in this design style, it really does help to create a calm and comforting look to a space. When we look at the interior design element of line, we may notice that in the Japandi style, we'll see maybe more curvilinear type of lines, or maybe very simple and minimal types of straight lines, but nothing is going to be very rigid or perfect. These curving lines or very simple straight lines, whether we see them in patterns or in the silhouette of furniture or furnishings, really do contribute to a calm and comforting look to a space. The characteristics of the Japandi design style in regards to the interior design element of texture have to do with going back to nature again. And this is where texture is celebrated in just the inherent qualities of different natural materials in a space. That may be in the wood grain that we see in a floor, or in a nubby style of texture for a wool fabric, or the natural woven texture of rattan. And when we talk about texture, texture is very tactile. It's something that we touch, but it can also just be very visual. In this design style, I think that both are important. So when we see textures created by nature, and also when we touch them, that helps us connect to nature once again and gives us a sense of calmness. And texture is one of the main ways that beauty is created in this design style. So instead of embellishing everything with extra decoration, all of those beautiful textures and lines and shapes of these natural materials are celebrated and give beauty to a space. When we look at the interior design element of light, we will think of this connection to nature again and bringing in as much natural light as possible. And when we do need to use artificial lighting in the evenings, it's going to be a soft and warm and calming type of light. And going back to the handcrafted natural material approach to design, there may be some beautiful lights that are in a room that provide beauty just because of the design that they have. And something else that can contribute to the calming and cozy effect of this design style is just the play of light on our walls with natural lighting or with artificial lighting, and seeing different patterns and shadows and pockets of light on a wall, and seeing light change throughout the day. With the interior design element of color, there are certain colors that are reminiscent of this design style. And in general, it's usually this muted and soft color palette. It really goes back to nature again and drawing on neutral colors such as soft whites, or maybe even taupey colors, or maybe even charcoal. And it also looks to earth tones, so those colors like beiges and tans and browns. And it could include soft blues and green. All of those colors connect us once again to nature and different natural materials that we would find in our home, whether we would find beautiful grays and earth tone colors in stone and beautiful beiges and golden colors in flooring. We would see this as solid colors or in patterns, but there's going to be this nice flow and this soft transition in between all of these different colors. So it creates a sense of calmness and serenity. This soft, muted color palette really creates a calming look. It's very opposite of something where we would have very saturated and bold and energetic colors. Then when we look at the interior design element of value, which just has to do with how light or dark something is, and also how much contrast is going on between lighter and darker elements. This design style is a good example of where we may use just very low contrast, meaning that we wouldn't have a big jump from very light to very dark. If we do have a jump to a darker color in a very light room, it may be in a smaller amount, as in this example, where it's just a vase that is this darker black compared to everything else in the room. And what's important is that we would kind of stay within a general range of lighter and darker tones and not have this big, huge jump from very light to very dark. Value is one of the important factors to create variety in a room, because if we have everything in the same lightness, that room can look very flat. So it's still really important, even if it's just a gradual transition or change, to add variety to your room by using lighter and darker colors. The Japandi design style really is one of those styles that helps to create a calm and comforting look to a space. And because it's drawing its inspiration from nature, we'll see organic shapes and forms and also the celebration of natural materials. It also has a nice, soft, muted color palette, as well as an emphasis on creating a minimal, uncluttered look to a room. So I'd love to find out from you if you like this design style, or maybe you even have this design style in your home. So please share your ideas and your experiences with this design style in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.